I was thinking. I've been seeing a lot of memes after the Derek Chauvin verdict, right? Pretty much saying like, oh, since he was found guilty, all the Foot Lockers are safe. Y'all gonna have to buy shoes this weekend. Won't be no looting this weekend. And I just really want to say, if anyone thought that, fuck you. Fuck you. Like, we don't loot and protest to get free shoes. Like, no one was looking forward to Derek Chauvin being found not guilty so they can get some free shoes from Foot Locker. You dumb, ignorant motherfuckers. Dumb, ignorant motherfuckers.
Right off mother. Right off mother.
Man, hey, look, I just had to press record because we was just sitting there just giving it to him, man.
Right off mother. Well, let's speak about that issue. How you feel about defunding the police? From a black man that got tased, let's get it from that point of view. Because we're getting a lot of things in our community about this.
I'm gonna say this in two parts. Okay. As first, I'm gonna speak as a black man. As a black man, I understand. As a black man, from the bottom of my heart, I understand why people feel that's necessary. But when you look at the greater good, I don't think it'll serve the benefit that people think. Now, am I down for disbanding some of these police units? Hell fucking yeah. Because a lot of these police precincts are filled with racist fucks. Let me not even call them all racist. With ignorant fucks who don't know how to deal with the people that they are supposed to be protecting and serving. So
that's 100 bands, bro. Right off.
With that being said, I understand it, but I don't support it. Someone else sat down and sort of gave their side of, why they're saying defund the police. Because they're saying defunding the police doesn't necessarily mean that we're gonna, 911 won't come when you call. But defunding the police means, why do we have to have an entire SWAT team? Like, why do we have to have a SWAT team with 4 trucks? Why do these guys have to be riding in, brand new Chargers? Why are these sorts of things necessary? Because when those sorts of things are necessary, it causes the people that you're policing to react accordingly. And that's what we've been seeing. The police in the black community is damn near militarized. It is a military damn near. Yeah. When SWAT teams show up, bro, like when SWAT show up in black vans, hop out with guns, vests and shit, bro, like ready for whatever. When did it get like this? Because I know when. At some point during when in the 70s, niggas got tired of getting their ass beat, so niggas started grabbing guns themselves, which all originated from us being mistreated in the first place. So that's my little spill on it. I'm not saying disband them. I'm not saying disfund them, but I'm saying disband some of these precincts.
Right off mother.
Defunding the police sounds really good, but it's also not too practical. We also have to acknowledge, there are black police officers. There are some good police officers out there in the white community, for sure. So you shouldn't really defund them. They need that funding too. But I will say, I feel like certain areas, motherfuckers don't need Chargers as police cars. Motherfuckers don't need Hellcats and SUVs and trucks and shit. Like, bring back that motherfucking little ass baby Crown Vic nobody was scared of. I feel like the motherfucking overall perception of police in general needs to be disbanded. You feel me? Like, I would love for them to hire all police officers. You feel me? Like, get them motherfuckers out of there. actually screen the new ones.
You talking about disband and start fresh?
Yeah, like
I agree with that.
If you're in one of those precincts, now granted, not every precinct, you feel me? If you're in one of those shaky precincts where y'all have been killing black people and getting away with that shit,
but
everybody got to go. We need reevaluation for everybody. Whoever the fuck comes back in next has to know how to do their motherfucking job.
Right off mother.
Now, one thing that I will agree with that was being pushed as a part of this defunding the police is starting a nationwide track of police incidents. So when these police, beat a black guy, get fired from one precinct, they can't just go 15 minutes down the road to
treat them like sex
precinct.
offenders.
Yeah.
Treat them like sex offenders.
Yeah.
I said.
A national registry for that.
We see
shit.
your motherfucking ass beating up that man for no reason.
Yeah. So
You whooped that nigga's ass over a cheesy. We saw that bitch.
Right off I'm for that sort of stuff, but in order to do that, you need funded. Now look, I hate police officers, you know what I'm saying? I guess, more than the same amount as the next black person does. You know what I'm saying? But once we defund entire police precincts, whether they have chargers, Hellcats or not, how do we ensure the public that we're going to get all the same services?
Because we don't need vigilantes.
That's why. But when you know things about how budgets are planned, that's how they're planned.
But let me answer that question. The way you do that is by putting people from that community in that precinct. Stop hiring people from South City, bro. Like I'm tired of seeing some white man from South City drive down my street talking about he patrolling and keeping me safe. Because I know that's not his goal. His goal is to come arrest somebody, not to protect and serve.
Right off mother. Yeah, I definitely think we need to do more police screenings. We need more black people to join the force.
Think about it. In order for that to happen, bro,
they need funding. We can't defund.
We can't defund them.
In order for that sort of thing to happen,
we can reallocate
it's not
funds.
about funding. It's about
we can restructure the budget.
Think about this. Think about this. If the chief if the chief at this precinct around the corner is a racist white guy, he's not gonna be too apt to hire too many black cops, especially ones that are pro-black that ain't on what he on, right or wrong.
Yeah, but
so
what
the
does
only
that
way
have
to
to?
The only way to change that is you got to get him the fuck out of there, which means you would have to get him, all of the racist people that he have with him, out and start fresh. And that may take pulling some funds. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying.
But the question is, when you pull funds, how do you ensure the public that you're getting the same services? Because at the end of the day, the police have a big job. It's more than just being a patrolman, dog. And I hate police.
When you lock your keys in the car, who the fuck gonna help you get your keys?
Right off mother. Taking away money, which means less services. That's what that always means.
Because the services that we're getting now are terrible.
For us in our community and in some communities. That's not in every community. That's not even for every black community. We do have to put some honesty on the situation.
That's true, but I'm talking about
it from a whole.
But we have to talk about the majority.
So let's prioritize.
Majority.
What would be better? What would be better for us to get legislation that will change how policing happens in our neighborhood, which is what really needs to happen, or abolish them and defund them, and we are the police. We have vigilante police, because that's what happens when you abolish precincts.
That's what
without
happens.
Another plan. We have to have plans. We can't
there's
just sit
no
there
way
and say,
there's no way that they will ever defund and abolish police without a plan. And there is a plan out there.
Right off mother. What is our plan once we defund the police, or
our plan,
for some on our side, abolish? What is our plan then?
The plan, I just laid out what the plan should be.
Who will keep things safe?
You hire people from within the community that are willing. If they disbanded, I shit you not, I hate police. But if they disbanded the precinct around the corner and said, hey, we need some black cops to come sign up so we can, get this precinct going, I would dedicate my time to that, bro, for the sake of the black community. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what that defunding would help me feel safe, because I don't feel. Hold on, let me explain.
I don't think that's in the defunding category though.
What, bro? Do you know how
that
much?
Don't sound fun.
Do you know how
bro.
much? Do you know how much some of this shit is costing, bro?
You need funds to do that.
Exactly. So they're spending some of this money on unnecessary shit.
In all honesty, bro,
you tripping,
you
bro.
done walked around this shit so many times.
How? I already said
because
the shit.
at the end of the day, you know for a fact, defund means less services. Defund means less hiring. That's what it means in every other category that we know of. So how in the fuck will we defund the police and they'll have money to hire your black ass?
Because they
and train you. That all costs money.
It's a two-part.
Am I wrong?
It's defund and disband.
We need police legislation
and disband.
so policing can change in our neighborhoods.
But
that
the
needs to
only
be our
way- but the
priority,
only
not
way to
this
get that-
far-fetched
But the only way to
bullshit.
get that, bro, think about this.
is to vote
Right.
people in who have those mindsets, not to
let's stop
abolish.
So the
stop yelling at
police
each other
chief.
for a
So
minute.
let's talk about that. The police chief here in St. Louis, right?
It's something you can vote on.
It is.
Right.
I'm not saying it's not. But what about the chief at the precinct around the corner? You vote for the head chief. You don't vote for the head of the precincts, bro. And them head of the precincts is the problem. And that's like, I'm not saying the bigger issue is the whole police. We know for a fact that there are good police, but we can't keep dancing around the issue that there are people out here that is living off this money and making a living and putting this money to bad use for the community that it's supposed to be protecting and serving.
I don't think defund is the word you want to use for that. I feel like reallocation of funds is what you need to be looking at. You don't want to defund it because, like you said, if you want to get hired and you want to go through the proper protocol of then becoming a police officer, how the fuck do they do that if the current police precinct now has no motherfucking funds because we have to defund them?
Because why are we talking about defunding like we're going to pull all of the money from the police?
That's what defund means.
Defund does not pull all of the money. That means pull some money.
The whole point of this conversation was to look at defunding police. Removing money means defunding. However, reallocating, it all means defunding. It all means less money. We're starting from that point. We're talking about less money for police precincts. That is not necessarily good. That is what me and Jay are trying to say. When you're talking about defunding, reallocating money, less money, you're talking about less services. Always.
And I'm going to go back to what I said in
and
the
that's
beginning.
all we were trying to say.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is the community that I live in, for example, I am not happy with all of the services that I get from all of the cops.
So that means that
we need to do something about it.
A change in policing needs to happen. Of course. And I'm right there with you. My question was for you, how would removing money accomplish that? And that's what keeps on getting danced around.
No, why do we need to see police with a lot of the things that they have?
Right off mother.
Because our police feel like they are a small military. And they feel like they need to be funded like a small military. And that's what we're seeing. And that's the point that I've been trying to make this whole time. I'm not dancing around the issue. I'm not saying that we need to take all the money and this, that, and the third. But some of this shit needs to be reallocated, like Jay said. I'll agree with you wholeheartedly. We need to reallocate some of this money. And some of these motherfuckers need to be the fuck out of here. And I also agree with you. The only way to get that is by fucking voting. And disbanding motherfuckers. But we can only do that by voting.
Right off mother.
One thing I feel like as a black man in America, you do your best to get along with all colors of all creeds, you feel me? We don't want no smoke. We just trying to see a bag or whatever. You know, we trying to build our little empire. You know, we trying to get with like-minded individuals. We don't care about who the fuck a motherfucker look like or who the fuck they is. Let's get to the green shit. So this anti-Asian shit's been going on for a long time. I want to say about a month, about 3 weeks. It took off my Instagram, similar to the way the Black Lives Matter movement did. You know, I'm not really too aware of what exactly happened, but as we've come to see it unfold, they're signing a bill about outlawing like Asian hate crimes or something like that. And like they're passing a bill about anti-lynching, so to speak, and things like that. And it's like, as a black man, we been getting lynched for a long motherfucking time, you know, like.
It's a slap in the face.
It's a slap in the face. I feel like they handled that like as a black man, like you would love to see some shit go that smoothly for y'all and your people.
I mean, to take it a step further, we have to understand that they did bring the Emmett Till bill up to Congress this year, and it did not make it through it made it through the House. I don't think it made it through the Senate.
Find us the vote count if you can.
Let me see. I had it pulled up for a second.
and I'm just gonna speak on your
Yeah,
point.
so I'm just here to offer, my
and
thoughts and
I'ma
my
double
feelings,
back.
like as just seeing that as a young black man, like just historically, I just feel like the number of hate crimes against Asians, even though it's very unfortunately, it pales into comparison to the actual lynchings, of black men, the historical, systematic oppression and destruction of our people, it's like they passed that bill, they handled that shit like in a week's notice, damn near. Like that shit was fast as fuck.
In a month.
And it's like if you can't see those kinds of things, like if you don't notice the difference on the clock or maybe even the sense of urgency, that's sparked in the government about certain issues or the way they handled certain things in certain situations, that might be what the fuck racism is, If you didn't have an example, I think that's one,
I think, and you're making some good points, and I'm not even trying to undercut you at all. Asians have went through a lot of hate in this country for a while.
Because we know for a fact they dropped that motherfucking bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We know for a fact that shit that happened, World War II.
I mean, but there was a lot of propaganda against Asian
people. Yeah, so like
people.
we know that stemmed from a lot of
yeah.
propaganda, a lot of anti-Asian hate. A lot of these nationalists that call themselves defending the country, the same people that hate black people, hate white people. Hate Asian people too. They get that same kind of flack.
So let me say this. I did a little research. They did pass the Emmett Till bill February 26th of this year. So it was declined in 2019, but it was passed this year. So now knowing that, it does make sense for after us to get ours. Okay, now let's go ahead and take care of the Asians too.
But to speak on Ocho's point, he did make a good point. The level of destruction that has happened to black people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
It's like I don't even know how to fucking put that shit, because it's like if we say it, it's like we're not trying to offend anybody. Like I'm very happy that like there's a movement to not hate people. Like nobody should be fucking getting lynched. Like across the board, like the enemy is the enemy, evil is evil, wrong is wrong. You feel me? Like that shit shouldn't be happening at all. We should all get to pursue our bags with no problems.
And with all that being said, I
Scoot it
feel
over just
like
a little bit, player.
I said, with all that being said, I feel like when you talk about Asian hate crimes, I could only really come up with like 2 instances that I have heard of like Asian hate crimes.
But you can't go off the mainstream though.
Yeah, and I'm not going off that because like I haven't done a ton of investigation and finding my resources. But like when it crossed my eyes, like I don't see a lot of Asian hate crime. I don't hear a lot about it, but I do see black people getting killed day after day. And you said like the Emmett Till bill got passed. Mm-hmm. It took 50 years, 60 years to pass a bill, something like that.
To take it a step further, it was declined the first time.
Right, because you said it was declined in 2019.
When you
feel like
see
2019 is pretty modern.
the rise of unfortunate incident that happened to the Asian community, which is, wrong is wrong at the end of the day. To see that and then see a bill get passed automatically,
that shit was
like
pretty quick as fuck. And it's like, whoa, it's like, wow.
And here's why. And it makes sense. When you think about a global pandemic that has been blamed on a group of people, that can lead to some pretty bad things.
There has been.
You know what I'm saying?
To be honest, if you pay attention to not just here, but world news, worldwide, Asian people have been very, 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 very discriminated against.
And I agree.
In these past, during this pandemic.
In this past year?
Yeah.
Because like if the COVID shit supposedly stemmed from where it stemmed from, naturally Asians will get backlash because people.
Well, a lot of that came from Donald Trump,
right?
To be honest, and these crazy media sources that have flooded our social media pages that we talk about all the time, that's been exposing us to this bullshit.
Or the people that ain't that smart
blamed it on Asian people and the Wuhan flu and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Which was very discriminatory and can lead to bad things. It really can. I do want to be honest and shed that light. I do agree with you guys.
Let me also play devil's advocate with you, bro. Since the time, if you go back through history and you pay attention to Asian history, Asian American history. From the time that they got here, they were also extremely discriminated against. You know, they were put in containment camps. You know, they were thrown in these same sorts of camps that we see Mexican people in today. So they did also go through and have been through the same sort of hate crimes and stuff that we have as African Americans. Now, I will say I do agree with y'all that it hasn't been nearly as long, and they haven't done nearly as much. Yeah, like it hasn't been nearly as much psychological, physical, and structural damage to their community and their culture like it has the African American community.
Other minorities have not endured the longevity of mistreatment as African Americans at the end of the day. Like, I hate to say it, but it is what it is.
I mean, we're not trying to have no motherfucking struggle war. You know, this isn't the motherfucking oppression off.
And
it's just the way we see this shit.
And I feel at the end of the day, like, even though blacks have endured longevity of poverty and all that nonsense, I feel like other minorities have gotten ahead quicker than the blacks in America.
Why?
That's a good point. But as to Nino's question, why? If either you would like to answer that.
Go ahead. You told him.
The answer to the question on why is because these other minorities were, I guess you could say, weren't as crucial to the integrity of America as the African American was.
Because of slavery.
Right off mother.
Now, you're starting to see things like, now it's time for the black community to join with the Asian community for support and stuff like that. But it's like, how long did it take for us to get these communities to support our movements?
Have they?
Because till this day, I will say, any movement that is black empowered is still very unpopular in America. To this day,
oppressed and silenced, and
it's not silenced anymore. They can show it on CNN.
Have they backed
people
us?
don't like it. That's what I'm saying.
Have they backed us?
That's what I'm saying. Have they backed us? Why are we now seeing this? Oh, it's time for us to unite with the Asian American. Why?
Because I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
It's the right thing to do?
No, fuck that. I'm gonna play devil's advocate because if you look historically, it's been proven that us as African Americans will not and have not gotten anything done in America without teaming up with someone
another
else.
faction.
You know what I'm saying? Another culture.
Right off mother.
What do we gain by joining factions now with the Asian community amongst all this Asian hate crime?
Hopefully, we would gain some sort of
them supporting our BLM movement.
Exactly, some sort of support from them. Now, I will say in the past, during the height of that Black Lives Matter second run, I'm not gonna say during the first run because a lot of people missed it on the first run.
I'm sure like a lot of motherfuckers missed it on the first run.
A lot of people missed it on the first run, and that was just what it was.
Missed it on the first run.
But on that second run, I can say I honestly
started more diverse.
I started to see a lot more support from these other these other groups, these other cultures. They were like, hey, we can't even front it no more. This shit is wrong. Now, it's wrong for them to even have fronted it in the first place, but just for them to be able to come out and say that means that that's some sort of progress.
Yeah, because they've been feeling the same fucking heat we've been feeling. And they thinking like, well, damn, if we team up with them, if we support them, because yes, we've been treated this same way, that we could get some shit done. But I still feel that like they not truly backing us to help us, minus the BML movement. You get what I'm saying? Like, if that makes sense.
But everything is a,
Black Lives Matter, yeah.
But everything is a give and take now. And I mean, everything, when you talk about trying to move the social status of an entire race or an entire culture, it's gonna be a give and take.
Right off mother.
In the black community, we do have people that that have that sort of hatred and that sort of discrimination towards other races.
Yeah, it's a two-way street. I won't act like it isn't.
It's a two-way street.
It's definitely a two-way
so
street.
I feel like it would start with open communication from everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's not many of those type of people.
But
Not to cut you off.
there's a percentage as well. I use the term "there's a percentage," so we will acknowledge the percentage of the black people. We can do that.
yeah, like I mean, I'm gonna be honest. There's a larger number than we acknowledge in the
Yeah,
black
like if you ask around, you'd be surprised.
and now we have parts of the black community who are joining the alt-right.
yeah.
So
To be honest,
So, out of 13% of blacks in America, right? It's like 13 or 11%.
12%, but yeah.
It's probably about what 2 to 3% that's you could call racist. Honestly, how many racist people, black people, do you know?
Well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
I would say
again.
about 10 to 15.
And if
we all, especially us African Americans, we all have stereotypes that we use and that we use for other races on a regular.
Everybody has a stereotype.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm not saying that we don't, but we can't sit here and play we not as racist as everybody else, or we don't let me not say racist, but we don't have as many stereotypes.
there's one thing to have stereotypes,
And
but to
it's
have the
another thing.
power
Yeah,
to
but I mean,
actually
yeah.
do something about that stereotype,
We don't have
is
to get into the
completely
racism
different.
prejudice discussion. We don't got to do that. You
I mean,
know,
but
we all know.
it's a real thing.
For
You know
sure.
what I'm saying? Like there
And I'm
are
not-
people who actually have power to, whenever
Act on
they
these thoughts
say
and
these,
feelings.
to act on these thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
How many black people do you know going in doing this, beating up somebody because they're, a different race? Like, how many racist
To be
people do
honest,
you
don't hear
know?
about
To
that
be
too
honest,
often.
and in these chat rooms that QAnon formed out of, and a lot of these other groups formed out of, there aren't a lot of black people involved. Because it's hate against black people, Jews, and everything. There's not a whole bunch of black folks who are going to join that group, to be honest.
I get what you're saying.
Right off mother.